Thank you again so much for joining us. And Amber, I'm going to pass the microphone over to you.
Great. Hi, everybody. I just saw my friend Lisa and her dog now signing on. Hi, Lisa. And the people that just joined, welcome. If I can't see you, I'm on my iPad through the Zoom class, so I probably can't see everyone, but I would ask you before you get too settled to just grab a rolled up blankie, like I have my blankie at age 45. If you have one, a bolster, a couple blocks, if you have any of those things available. If you don't, a pillow works fine. It's not necessary. And I want to make sure, Valerie, that I'm pinned. I just wondered if you did that. Yep. Okay, perfect. And I'm just going to go ahead, for those of you guys at home, I'm just going to go ahead and start the Instagram live. Wish me luck on that. All right. So I'm going to back up. Hopefully you guys can see and hear me okay today. Let me just make sure this is going. Can't tell if it's going, but I hope it is. Let me just try one more thing. Working, sorry guys. I'm trying to go into this. It's gonna do one thing. So you guys can get settled. If you have a block or a pillow, you can go ahead and we're gonna start in Virasana. I've just gotta fix this Instagram live. Hold on, because there's music playing for some reason. Hold on. And you guys can just come to Varasana. So that's hero pose. Let me just figure out the technical difficulties. And if it's comfortable, bring your knees together, bring a block or pillow or rolled up blanket underneath your sitting bones. So knees are together. If it's comfortable to sit back on your heels, you can go ahead and do that. I'm gonna get this going. And start now. There, connection starting. All right, so Valerie was nice enough to put the link. It's actually a Venmo account that it's a suggested donation. If you feel inclined to make a donation for today's class, I would love you to donate to the Venmo scholarship, Wild Hearts Yoga Scholarship that you'll see in the chat. Wild Hearts Yoga School is a school that I'm opening and doing an online training next fall. So in September, I'll be starting that virtual training. And, you know, one of the things that was really important to myself, as well as my program manager and scholarship manager, Stacy Hughes, is that we give back through this school. And so the Wild Heart Scholarship is for a trainee that or applicant that has gone through breast cancer or is currently going through breast cancer. We're raising money through our online store and some merchandise and also this class and some other events right through the fall that will help benefit a trainee to take the 200-hour yoga teacher training this fall with us through Wild Hearts. So I am a cancer survivor, a breast cancer survivor, 10 years, and my friend Stacy is currently being treated for breast cancer, her third round. So we both felt it just made so much sense to pay it forward and turn our situations into something to benefit someone that has gone through or been affected in some way through breast cancer. So thank you so much for even considering a donation, a small donation or not. No pressure at all, but I just wanted to thank Valerie for that and for all of you for being here. So
Amber, this is Valerie. I'm getting a question. Is there any way to donate other than Venmo?
You know, I can actually put in if people are comfortable, I can put in my mailing address. And if people wanted to like send a check or something, the other thing is the online store that we have. But I didn't want to be a conflict of interest with this purpose. So how about after class, I will, I can pop in my mailing address. And if someone wanted to send a check, I'm old school with checks, someone could certainly do that. Does that work?
I think so. Yeah, I'm seeing some thumbs up from the people that asked. So
Okay.
that's great. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just didn't want to
totally
have class
fine.
end and people scoot off.
Thank you so much for even asking and wanting to help. I really appreciate it. We've raised about $600 so far, so it's been really wonderful. The response has been great. So today's class is an Ayurvedic flow. I've really been loving my Ayurveda practice and just finished a nice 8-week training. It's so nice to be home and be able to do some virtual trainings. So I just finished a really nice immersion with Ayurveda, and I wanted to just kind of talk briefly about, I just spent 6 weeks up skiing. I know we're kind of past ski season, but in Vermont, it's a long season. So I spent 6 weeks skiing in Vermont with my family. And there is this trail at the back of Burke Mountain called East Bowl. I have my sign here that says East Bowl. And this trail is kind of my go-to and one of my favorite trails. I've been skiing there for, 40 years since I was very little, and it's been a while. Finally bringing my kids down the trail now, Black Diamond, which is really fun. But what I love about this trail is it's kind of completely peaceful, and it's the back of the mountain. It's the only one on the back of the mountain. They close it early because they don't want to lose anyone back there. So much solitude. And it has these like really long kind of parts that are flat, and then it has very like kind of jagged turns and quick steep hills. And every single time I ski that trail, I think, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to get. I know I could do it with my eyes closed, but every time I ski it, it's this beautiful lesson in life because it's different terrain. The weather's always different. It just looks different. It feels different. I always kind of have to take a sense of humility when I go down the trail and say, wait a second, I really need to find balance in this trail. And I mentioned this, it's a special place to me, very spiritual and peaceful. And I mention it because this is a way to look at Ayurveda and yoga and relate what's best for you. So I love this practice. We can modify, we can do what feels good in our bodies. With Ayurveda, we can certainly apply in our diet seasonally the elements, things that are going on. And we know there are always going to be different states and circumstances in life. We know that, especially this year, what a lesson, which can cause the ratio of elements to change. And so we have this beautiful ability to purify the 5 elements, purify our breath, our body, our spirit through this practice of Ayurveda and this beautiful flow that I'll guide you through today. So I'd like to just have you, if you came on a little late, those of you on Instagram, I'm in Virasana right now in hero pose. You can lift up, if you're on a block, kind of lift up, roll the fleshy part of the calf muscles out to the side, kind of nestle in, snuggle in, make yourself comfortable. If this doesn't feel good, certainly kind of uncurl your legs or find seated. But I'd like to just start with a little bit of stretching, a little circle stretch. So let's take our arms and just sweep them up towards the sky and just circle around. We'll take another full breath, inhale, and you might even lift your gaze or close your eyes. Deep breath in, exhale. Good, one more nice deep breath here. Beautiful. And then from here, start to give yourself a hug. Thank yourself for showing up. Take a little cat stretch. You can round the spine, tuck your chin if you'd like. And then inhale, a little seated cow. Start to open up the chest and the heart. Really reclaiming the natural state of health and joy within each and every one of us. Inhale. And exhale. Deep breath. Good. One more big hug here. And then open up those arms. We're going to wrap our hands behind our low back. If you want to use a strap here, or even place your hands on the small of the back, we'll just start to kind of awaken our front line here. So just opening up, let the ribs flare out here. Maybe the chin tucks. Maybe you start to lift your gaze if that feels good. Just stay safe. Take a few deep breaths here. Good, nice full breaths. And then bring that chin back to neutral and just soften your grip. Let the fingers release at the low back. Take the arms overhead, take an inhale. Hands together as you exhale. We'll bow our chin towards our heart as we begin our practice today. Really honoring what's really our constitution or Prakruti in Ayurvedic terms. And this is our constitution and even our time of conception. So this can bring in that natural state, even as far as kind of a past life, astrology, how we were conceived. So we'll just honor our past. Take a nice full breath. Open the eyes. Good. Chin back to neutral, arms sweep overhead. One more deep breath. Interlace your hands, press your palms away from the crown, slide the shoulders down the back. Hug in through the midline and just feel that strength and awareness, length as you breathe in. As you exhale, breathe out. Good. Take the hands to the heart, another interlace. I know it's 9 o'clock for some of you in the mornings, 12 o'clock for some of us. So take a nice cat stretch here, any movement organically that feels good. And then take your hands to your heart. And we'll come right off the top of the feet if you're still in Virasana and come into tabletop. So if you have blocks or your blankie like I have or blanket, you can just kind of move it to the top of your mats. We're gonna find our tabletop. So walk your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. And so part of the reason I came up with Wild Hearts Yoga School is because the abbreviation is why. And I always ask myself when I'm going to practice, when I'm going to teach, like, why am I here? Why am I talking about this? And I want you to take a moment, like, why do I come into this posture? Why did I come to my mat today? And just kind of bring some awareness to that question. And use your whole body here, your whole breath. Our breath represents our Vata constitution, our air, our space. So create some space with the breath. We'll take an inhale, soften the belly, and just find our cow stretch here. Reach your heart forward. As we exhale, begin to round and take a few breaths here, just starting to link our breath with movement. Really subtle awakening. Good. So it's like that path, that trail I love when I ski, kind of never changing and always changing, right? So our practice can be so similar. We can simplify and deepen. Always feels different in our body depending on the season and elements. Let's take one more deep round inhale. And then exhale, just flush that breath out. Purify those elements, let the breath go, and then come back to neutral. We're gonna tuck all 10 toes. So you can do this with your knees down. I'm gonna invite you to lift your knees, and this kind of helps us with that transition later, moving from downward facing dog and stepping one foot forward. So if you have any wrist sensitivity, you can lean back a little bit. So you're kind of back, your shoulders aren't over the wrists. And you can just take a little pressure off the wrist. So we're gonna take a deep breath, inhale, downward facing dog. Exhale out of the mouth. You might step your feet back, take another inhale, lift your hips. And then exhale, round forward, drop the knees to floating table. Inhale, soften the belly, reach your heart forward. And then exhale, whole body breath and stretch, lift your hips. So we're gonna repeat this a few times, slowly starting to rock forward slightly. Knees can hover or lower down completely, and then exhale, downward facing dog. So really weaving through the breath in the body here, noticing what comes up. Good, we'll take a couple more. Feeling the strength starting to ignite our divine spark. Within each and every one of us, our fire, that pitta element. Inhale. Good, last one. Send it back. Deep breath here. Now from downward facing dog, you might swivel your hips a little bit. You might roar. Some days when my kids are not here and I'm alone, there's some noises coming from my house, loud noises. They change. So just kind of rock it out here. Take another full breath and then just walk your hands all the way back to your feet. So you can keep your feet hip width or a little bit wider. Keep your knees really bent. I have my knees bent pretty deeply here. And we're just gonna slowly bend our right knee and we're gonna sweep our left arm high. So just kind of open up, very nice gentle twist. And then exhale, release your left hand down, kind of pedal that left knee out. Right arm sweeps high. So I'll be doing a lot of postures today that help us purify the 5 elements, that activate fire, water, earth, air, space. Some of them I mentioned, good. Take that left hand back down. Take an inhale, wave your spine forward. And as you exhale, just walk your hands back into downward facing dog towards the top of your mat. Take a deep breath here. On your inhale, lift your right leg towards the sky. We're gonna take a twisty 3-legged dog. So I want you to take this time. You might even kind of move your knee around a little bit or really open up through that right side, stacking the hips. Good, and then take another full breath. Inhale, reach that leg nice and long for a down dog split. And then as you exhale here, we warmed up a little bit here so we can transition that right foot in between the hands. So just kind of help it along. Soften your back knee, take an inhale, runner's lunge. And as you exhale, plant your hands on blocks or the mat. Step your left foot to join your right. Take a deep breath, wave your spine forward. Waterfall, let it go. Inhale, Ardahanyumanasana, halfway lift, and then catch your hips with your hands. I like to hip hinge up. This prepares our posterior chain, our back body, so that we can start to open up a little bit more through our practice. So next inhale, start to stand all the way up. Find your Tadasana here, deep breath. I'm gonna move my mat back a little bit so you guys on Zoom can see me without my head chopped off. Good, and then we're just gonna take that circle stretch, inhale. Good, let's do 2 more just like that, inhale. Open up, full breath, inhale. Good, and then take those hands to your heart, take a full breath here, exhale out of the mouth. Inhale, reach the arms towards the sky, and as you exhale, just let your hands bow through your heart space, all the way down, forward bend. Take an inhale, Ardahanyumanasana, halfway lift, and then exhale, plant your hands, step your right foot back and your left to downward facing dog. Full breath in, exhale out. Inhale, lift your left leg, bend your knee, open up that hip. Maybe be a little bit playful here with that hip. Maybe mirror what you did on the other side. Nice full breath. Inhale, down dog split, lengthen. Good, and then take that left knee in towards the chest. Again, keep any pressure off the wrists here. Soften under the knuckles and then step your left foot through. Inhale, dip that right hip a little bit, runner's lunge. And exhale, plant your hands, right foot joins the left top of our mat. So we're warming up here, inhale. Exhale, we fold. Another full breath, Ardahanyumanasana, hands catch the hips, we lengthen. Imagine a block between the inner thighs. Keep that strength, that integrated strength, like you have one muscle as you rise. Good, find your Tadasana, deep breath. Circle stretch, inhale. Good, do 2 more just like that. I'm gonna move the iPad back a little bit just so you guys at home can see me better. All right, 1 more deep breath. And then hands to our heart, inhale. Exhale out, good. Arms sweep overhead, let's inhale. Exhale, hands bow through our heart. So softly place the hands on the earth, inhale halfway, Ardahanyumanasana. And then exhale, plant your hands, left foot steps back, right to downward facing dog. So take a deep breath here. Now, just like I mentioned and how we can relate our yoga and Ayurveda to our own personal wellness, I want you to really honor that in your practice today. We all don't have like an even split in our doshas. We all have a different time of conception, a different time that we can reclaim this natural state of health and joy that works different for each and every one of us. So bend your knees. Knees are really wide, feet are wide. And I'd like you to just kind of jump or walk halfway up your mat so that the feet are under the shoulders. You can step, take a little bunny hop. Inhale, wave the spine, nice and gentle. And then exhale, fold. Good, feet can toe heel together now. Take another inhale, Ardahanyumanasana, hands catch the hips, we rise together. I love that. Inhale, arms sweep overhead. This time we'll bow right to our heart. Inhale, we'll take our halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, we'll plant our hands, step our right foot back, left to downward facing dog. So I'm gonna add on here, take your right leg, lift it high on the inhale, whole body breath and stretch. Take up some space, open that hip. Inhale, square the hips, down dog split. Knee into chest, lift your hips, and then step your right foot all the way through. So a couple options here in your practice. You might use blocks under your hands. You might even lower your back knee if that feels better, or walk your hands up to your thigh. Moving into Crescent Lunge. So once you feel, again, kind of that inward rotation through the inner thighs, you might feel steady, or you might walk your feet wider, arms can sweep overhead. So we're gonna move into some fists of fire. Feel free to make noise, my neighbors might hear me. Inhale, extend the right leg. Exhale, inhale, exhale. Good, stoking that inner fire. Exhale. Inhale, last one. Inhale, reach high. Exhale it out, arms sweep high, knee is still bent. Take a full breath. And then exhale, left hand drops to the inside of the right foot. Gentle twist here, that knee can be down still. Take a nice full breath. Reach that right arm high to the sky. Take another deep breath here. And then exhale, hand all the way down. Step your right foot back to plank. If you'd like to lower onto your knees here, come onto your knees. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit, you can stay in a high push-up. We're going to wrap our elbows in, reach our heart forward. We're going to do 3 kind of micro push-ups here. So stay safe, stay integrated. Exhale. Good, for 2. Beautiful, last one. Bring yourself all the way up for a breath and then lower onto your belly. We're gonna walk our hands underneath our elbow points, wrap the elbows in. You can walk your legs together, but I'd like you to continue to strengthen your back body by pressing into the toenails, so the shoelace side of each foot. And then nuzzle your third eye into your mat. Start to really engage your back body by lifting your kneecaps and firming your thighs. Now draw your pubic bone down. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Reach your heart forward. Good, soft heart, strong backbone. Another full breath. And then exhale, slowly lower. Walk those hands underneath your shoulders for support. And then exhale, move through table. Find your downward facing dog. Deep breath in, exhale out. Widen those feet if you need to, bend your knees. We're gonna make our way to the top of the mat. So slow walk, maybe soft hop halfway. Feet can be wide, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway, hands catch our hips all the way back up to standing. Good, nice full breath here. Hands at our hearts. We'll do the other side. Inhale, arms extend. Exhale, we can fold, swan dive or bow. Inhale, Ardahanyumanasana, halfway. Exhale, plant the hands softly. Step your left foot back, your right to join. Good, optional chaturanga here. Now, if you're lowering halfway, imagine a block under the sternum. So again, gonna feel that beautiful integrated movement, fluid, solid, strong. Find your way into downward facing dog. Take your left leg, sweep it high to the sky, bend your knee, open your hip, explore a little bit, and then inhale, down dog split. Exhale, knee into chest, lift the hips high. Step your left foot under in between the hands. Again, find those blocks if you need to, okay? Prepare. Maybe hands walk to your thigh. Maybe that back knee drops. And then arms sweep. Preparing for that fist of fire. So inhale, extend your left leg. Once you feel that foundation, exhale. Make some noise, inhale. Exhale. Good, reclaim that natural state. Exhale. Inhale. One more breath. Inhale, good. Keep that left knee bent. Inhale, sweep the arms nice and high. Exhale, hands bow through our heart. Step your left foot back, deep breath, plank. From here, drop your knees again, lower onto your belly. Take a full breath this time, wrap your hands behind your low back, zip up through the midline or the inseam, and then just take a breath here, setting up for locust or shalabhasana. Activate that back body, make some space for that soft heart, just peek forward. You might take the legs, squeeze them together and lift the legs. Good, hold here a few rounds. Maybe stick your tongue out, lion's breath if that feels good. One more full breath. And exhale down. Release the interlace, walk hands under your shoulders. And then slowly exhale, guide yourself through table. Walk your knees nice and wide. We're gonna come into our child's pose. So this is a nice time to grab some water, maybe just to release. Notice how your energy may have shifted or moved already in this practice today. So I want you to take this time and really cherish your inner child. I've kept this picture of myself as a very young child out in nature next to my yoga mat, my desk, and kind of my space for yoga. So anytime I feel kind of pulled away from that natural state, I look, I remind myself of all that natural health and joy. I try to balance myself with what's in season around me, how I'm feeling. So take another full breath here in child's pose, and then we'll come right up into tabletop. Take a few rounds of cat-cow if you'd like. We're gonna add on to this series a little bit. So just take a few deep breaths here. So what happens as all these things happen and kind of in life, right? These circumstances that take place, that's called a Vikruti, and this is kind of when we're out of balance. So we can find through our practice, again, through ingredients, through the seasons, through different times in the day, through our constitution, we can find this natural state and balance within us. And we know when we're out of balance. I was sharing with the group, I had a root canal earlier this week, my first one, and I had been grinding my teeth. So subconsciously kind of holding on to a lot of stress overnight that may not look on the surface that was there, right? So I kind of had to step back this week and say, okay, what is happening? Let's try to manage this, give myself some space, some air, some breath. So let's send our hips back, find our downward facing dog. On the next in breath, sweep your right leg nice and high, bend your knee, open up your hip. Inhale, extend that right leg, find that down dog split. Exhale, soak that inner fire. Use your core here to help you transition that right foot in between the hands. Soften your back knee, walk your hands up to your thigh, and then reach those arms nice and high, find your crescent. Good, so from here, we're just gonna come through that fist of fire again. Extend your right leg, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, good, exhale. Two more. One more, bend that knee, keep that knee bent, Take the arms nice and high. We're gonna open right up to our warrior two. So drop your back heel. Just find this nice alignment. I love to kind of bend my back knee as I transition into warrior two and just kind of find a neutral pelvis. You might even kind of sway legs side to side. This is a time when I can go, oh, I missed a twist on one side. Oh, right, side effect of being a yoga teacher. All right, so let's bend that right knee. Now we're gonna flow and dance here through side angle and a reverse warrior variation. So I'm gonna have you almost like you have hand weights. You can let your fingers just kind of flow. We're gonna reach our right arm forward, wrap that left arm around, and then move through center. Left arm reaches forward, right arm wraps. Good, and just flow with the breath. You might move slowly or a little bit more rapidly. Good. If you have hand weights, you might grab hand weights, right? Beautiful. We'll do one more. Reach that right arm forward. Good. And then we're going to take our left hand to our hip. Step your back foot in. We're going to move into half moon here. So if you want to use a block or something under the right hand or a wall behind you, go ahead. Adjust your body. Shift your weight into the right leg. I'll use a block here to demonstrate at any height. And then take your left hand, catch your hip. So our right toes always want to move to the left. We want to try to keep that foot right at 12 o'clock. Good. Right hip nice and open. We still have that internal rotation through our left hip. Now you might extend your left arm towards the sky. You may shift your gaze. And then I love moving from here. So stay here if it feels good. If you're working with a wall, you might explore. You might bend your back knee. Really start to open up the hip flexor. Find a nice bind here. Let's take a couple of breaths wherever you are. Good. Take another full breath. And then we're going to release that bind. We're going to kick that left leg out. So even though we can't see it, we know that limb is there. We're engaged. Left arm sweeps high. Left arm releases down, hand to a block or the mat. Square off your hips. Find your standing split. So reach your left leg nice and high. You might even square the hips off and work on your strength through the standing leg. So just take a few rounds of breath here. Might walk your hands to the ankle and even play with a little balance. Use blocks. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly bend our standing leg. Take our left knee in towards our chest. Not too quickly, of course, but maybe tap the nose with the knee and then step your left foot way back. Find a runner's lunge. Good. From here, drop that left knee down. We're going to move into a nice variation of our crescent lunge. Ardahanyumanasana, arms can sweep overhead for a breath. Good. And then right into our Ardahanyumanasana. So hands to blocks can help, especially if you're tight through the hip flexor, through the hamstrings. We're going to shift our hips back, keeping that micro bend in the right knee. Keep reaching our heart forward and maybe just kind of nudging that right hip back so we can square the hips. And then just rock front to back. Couple deep breaths. Good. Just kind of getting into that Ardahanyumanasana. So split pose is one of those poses that really helps us to find some harmony with those elements. That harmony looks different, right? Whatever trail you're on today. Good. Now from here, we're going to keep that right hand down. And I'm going to explore a little bit with, have some fun. So you can stay here, you can twist, or we're going to play with a variation of Sukhasana. So if you're comfortable, tuck your back toes, drop your left heel, use your left hand to reach the pinky side edge of your right foot. You might start to extend that leg out, or you might play with your Virasana or side plank variation. And peek your head under, hold here. Couple breaths. I won't make you count. Good. Take a nice full breath. Good. Release wherever you are. Hug your right knee into your chest. Kick it high. Bend your knee. Open up your hip. Good. And then square off those hips. Drop your right foot down. Woo, nice job, guys. So pedal it out. Walk your feet nice and wide. Bend your knees. Good, gaze halfway up the mat. You can take that walk or little bunny hop, a little ode to Easter. Inhale, halfway lift, and then exhale, fold. Good. We're gonna take a nice full breath, inhale halfway. We'll practice that hip hinge. So hands to hips. You might feel a little wonky through the legs. One side might feel different. Let's find that Tadasana and just even out a little bit. Deep breath in, exhale out. Good, and then we'll sweep those arms overhead. Take a deep breath. Exhale all the way down. Let's take a nice full breath, inhale. Exhale, plant the hands, step your left foot back, your right to join, step, step, plank. You can lower those knees down or move through Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale and exhale. Lift your left leg high to the sky, bend your knee. Good, open up here, inhale, square off those hips. And then take that left knee into the chest just for good measure. Plant the left foot, right hand stays planted. Let's find that twist. Deep breath here. Good, and then exhale, release that left hand down. Soften your back knee a little bit. Hands can walk up to that thigh. Find your crescent lunge. Inhale, fist of fire, exhale. Good, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Take back that natural state, 2 more. Another full breath. Keep that left knee bent, arms stretch overhead. Let's open right up, find your warrior 2. So adjust the feet as you need to. Even use a wall for this position if it feels good for alignment. Good, we'll move through that variation and flow and dance between our extended side angle and reverse. So let's just start to take that right arm forward. Good, and then reach right arm, reverse. Again, imagine maybe you have hand weights or you let the fingers just kind of extend. Dance, just see how you feel today. Sometimes we want to punch it out, right? Other times we just want to feel a bit more graceful. Good. Beautiful. We'll do one more here. Preparing for that half moon. So take your right hand to your hip. You can step your back foot in. Use that wall or block. We're going to shift our weight to our left leg. Taking it easy, left hand to a block or the floor, right hand to our hip. Yeah, really anchor that right hip. Beautiful. And then maybe, good. Let's find some stability here. If you want to take that bind, bend your top leg, reach for the top of the foot. Nice stretch here, maybe even a little back bend. Deep breath. Play a little bit. I like to do a little pronation through my toes sometimes for a really deep stretch through that quad muscle, which will help us with another posture we're going to do today. Good, one more breath. You can release your bind, send that right leg back. And then release the right hand down. We'll square off the hips. Find your standing split. Maybe hips are square. Good, take a few rounds of breath right here. And then when you're ready, tuck that right knee in towards the chest, bend your standing leg. We'll send that right leg way back. Good, find your runner's lunge. Drop that knee down, untuck your right toes. Yeah, so I'm in a pretty deep variation. It's actually really nice to bring yourself a little bit more vertical in this position. So you're really engaging those lower abdominals, keeping our low back nice and safe and our belly strong. So arms sweep overhead for a breath. Good, and then exhale, hands come down to blocks or the mat, Ardahanyumanasana. Bend your hips back. Shift your hips forward, bend that knee. Exhale. Let's rock front to back. Take a few rounds of breath here. Good, let's bend into that front knee. So here's an option again, coming into that Vasisthasana variation. You might just play with twisting. You might tuck your back toes. Left hand's gonna plant. You're gonna drop your right heel down. Reach for that left pinky toe with the right hand. You might start to lift your foot. You might get a nice outer hip stretch or play with that side plank variation. Keep lifting out through the shoulder girdle. Nice strong muscles. Strong side body lengthening, deep breath. Couple more rounds. Good, one more breath. And then tuck that knee into the chest. Lift your left leg high, bend your knee. Oh, deep breath here, great job. Release that left foot down. Walk out your dog here. Deep breath. We're gonna just bend our knees here and just take a slow walk. Feet will walk behind the wrists. We'll keep our feet nice and wide here and just find a really comfortable and cozy ragdoll. So fingers can wrap around the elbows and just feel the head. All that breath kind of cascade is purifying those elements. Maybe swaying side to side. Great job. Feeling that heat we've created, that fire, pitta. So it's so important to, as we reclaim that natural state, it's really important to have boundaries. I work on that a lot because it says to people in our lives that we care a lot about ourselves. So no is a complete sentence. I've been using that a lot. You don't need to explain. You need to honor what your body needs. So when you're ready, just release the elbows, let your arms just hang. And maybe this year has allowed you to explore those boundaries a little bit, energetic. Maybe they're physical, maybe they're action. But let's slowly start to walk our big toes together. And let's take another full breath. Inhale halfway. If you feel comfortable, you can round up. Make sure your back feels safe. If not, take your hands to your hips and just take that hip hinge, keeping the body nice and safe. Good. All right, so we're gonna move into Crescent Moon from here. So I'm gonna take the arms overhead. Take your left palm, press it towards the sky. Right fingers are gonna wrap around the wrist like a bracelet. Take a nice full breath, inhale. So feet can separate here for a nice wide foundation or stance, or you can take your big toes together. Deep breath. It's my intention to take up space too. So I think sometimes we're so used to like zipping in and up and being small in some ways that it's important to take up some space. Use that whole body for your breath and your practice and your life. Take another deep breath here, and then we'll come back to center, switching right palm presses. I know at home you can't really see me, so left fingers wrap around that wrist as a bracelet. Right arm extends, and then exhale over to the left. Beautiful Crescent Moon stretch here. Good. And we'll use that inhale to safely bring us back. Take your hands, we're just gonna wrap them around the low back. So again, we did this seated. I want you to just do this again, separate the feet and just start to open up, let the ribs flare here. Maybe keep the glutes a little engaged so you're safely opening up that front line. And then when you're ready, keep the knees soft and fold, Yoga Mudra. And that seal of yoga, let your head hang. And I know those boundaries are so tough. Like we have this conflict between our head and our heart. Always go back to your heart. Nice full breath. And then release, interlace at the low back. Take your hands to your hips, and then we'll slowly start to come all the way up. So if you have a strap at home, you can go ahead and grab your strap. We're gonna move into dancer pose. This is dance of all the elements today. So I really want to explore this posture. We've done some nice work to prepare our bodies for dancer. The wall is so wonderful for this pose, just to place a hand against the wall and reach for that leg. So I'm going to demonstrate with a strap, and I'll face this way so you guys can kind of see. So we're going to take the left foot and just plant that left foot. If you want to catch the top of your right foot with the strap, I have a little different strap. If you have a U-shaped strap with a buckle, you can always kind of catch the top of the foot. And then we're just going to take our left arm nice and high. And you might just stay here. It's similar to that bind and half moon. Feel a nice deep stretch here. Nice opening, that very large quad muscles. Good. And you might start to move into a back bend. So keep the spine nice and long here. I'm going to remove my strap. And I love, and that's why we do some of this external rotation. I love to reach the inside of my foot because that natural rotation through the shoulder. But just be mindful of what feels good in your body. I was also a softball pitcher in college, so kind of used to moving windmill style. Good. Take another couple breaths here. And then slowly transition all the way down. Good. Release your right foot down. We're just going to bring our feet nice and wide, and maybe today's a good day for a little hula hoop action. Maybe you want to jump up and down and dance. Maybe you're outside on your deck and you want to kind of move around in any way that serves you. So just take a moment here. And just notice the strength in the legs, deepness in the breath, and then we'll start to move into the other side. So we're going to keep that right foot rooted down. Again, I'll use the strap just to demonstrate. You can catch top of your foot and just maybe move into this nice quad stretch. You might take your right arm, reach it high. So in our yoga practice too, your worth is not based on productivity. So one of my favorite practices is just getting horizontal in my practice, being unproductive in terms of action, and just really tuning into my body and my mind. Very deep, simple way to produce the right things. So if you want to move into full dancer, use that wall or strap, or maybe catch the inside of the ankle. Heart shines forward, beautiful, strong back body, soft heart. We'll hold for a couple rounds of breath. Good, and when you're ready, just transition out. Good, maybe just counter that, you say the hips. We're gonna keep our feet nice and wide, so I'm facing you guys, but I'll have you take your toes and kind of turn them on the outline of the mat, and then your heels on the inside of the mat, so the width of the mat, and we're gonna come into Malasana. If you wanna use blocks or anything underneath your seat for support, you can do that. Use a wall if you'd like to. Hands can come to your heart, and just start to open up those hips, taking the back of the arms against the inner thighs wrapping around the back of the arms. And I always gotta wear my, I don't even know where my Malasana is, but I always like to wear my Malasana during Malasana. So this is a really beautiful grounding posture, working with our water and earth elements, which is kapha. And so it's really nice towards the end of our practice to just kind of start to ground our digestive fire, our waste, the malas in Sanskrit. So just moving side to side if that feels good. Maybe feeling downward flow of energy, that apana. And just take a few rounds of breath right here. You might even close your eyes and find stillness. Good, beautiful. And so from here, this is the fun part. So we're just gonna bring our hands down and we're gonna make our way onto our seat. So you can just start to reach your arms out and kind of drop your sitting bones. And then we're just gonna take our hands under our knees and kind of point like you're dipping your toes into very cold water. We're just gonna take our toes and kind of walk them in. Spine's nice and long, and just kind of play with the ankle and how this feels on the low back, how this feels on your core. And then you might find a little balance here in our Navasana or boat pose. As we're working with water, we're gonna row our boats today. Maybe skiing for Vermonters, right? Probably still some snow up there. And then arms can extend if that feels good. Legs can extend. We'll breathe here. And then we'll sweep those arms over to the right. You can do this with knees bent. You can do this with those toes touching. Good. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Good. Back to center. Inhale, one more breath. And then hug those knees in towards your chest. Deep breath, inhale. As you exhale, release your left leg. We're gonna extend that left leg. So I want you to hug your right knee into your chest. This is a nice variation, again, of wind release pose or Apanasana from seated. And you can stay right here. If you feel when we cross that foot over, that you start to switch the kind of weight distribution, if it's on the left side too much, maybe uncross and just stay right here. Or if it feels comfortable, hug that knee in, square off those hips, and then take your left arm around the shin. Right arm's just gonna sweep around and then anchor the pose here, lengthen. Good, and the twist takes place in our torso. So doesn't mean that our neck needs to twist too much. You can keep the chin over the heart. If you're looking for a neck stretch, you might take your gaze over the shoulder. Good. Beautiful. Let's take one more deep breath. And then just release. Come back to center. We'll uncross that right leg. Take the legs out nice and wide. You can walk your hands behind you and just kind of windshield wiper those feet side to side. Good. And then we'll do the other side. So we're going to take that left knee in towards the chest. Again, maybe stay right here and you just twist from here, or cross that left foot over the right. And then wrap your right arm around the shin, hug that knee in. Yeah, and then left arm, and just kind of softly anchor you behind the small, on the mat behind you, behind your low back. Deep breath, very regal. My husband and I have been watching The Crown. We just finished. And I started watching like something on Netflix, like The Royal Family. It's sometimes it puts me to sleep. Sometimes it's pretty interesting. So take another full breath. And then just come back to center. We'll uncross that left leg. And we're gonna start to bend our knees, come to the top of your mat. If you have those two blocks or a rolled up blanket, have it about halfway down your mat, because we're gonna end in a posture will be a little bit different than what we typically end in. So you can also use a block as we lower down. I like to do that just to keep my inner thighs really strong, keeping my practice safe. So palms can face up, hearts lifted, and then exhale, just draw that navel back towards your spine. Lower down, feet stay nice and rooted, very grounding as we begin to come down and close our practice. Good. So if you have the block, you can remove that block and just take your arms and sweep them overhead. And then exhale, knees into chest. You can just start to massage the small of the back. We did some back bending, so we're just gonna close with another back bend before we start to finish off our practice today. So I invite you to come into your bridge pose with a block, or maybe without a block, but make sure that as the knees bend and the heels walk towards the middle fingers, the feet are nice and rooted. You want to build that foundation. And then we're just going to start to lift our hips. Now, if you want to use that block or that blanket, just slide it under the small of the back. And some of you, because we have done Dancer and we have done a couple the Bind and Half Moon, you might feel comfortable coming to Wheel. I'm going to stick here and bridge today, but I want you to explore and play a little bit if that's what you need. whatever you need to bring you back to that Prakruti, that natural state. It's a beautiful thing. Good. Let's take another full breath. And then just if you came into an interlace or bind, you can release, unroll the shoulders, maybe drop the heels down if they lifted. Good. Lower the small of the back, hug those knees in again. Good. And we'll just drop our feet the width of the mat and just take a little constructive rest here. We all deserve it. Knees together. Arms can come out or maybe wrap around you, giving yourself a hug again here. So what's so wonderful is this beautiful fusion of our Eastern and Western medicine. And sometimes I giggle a little bit because, you know, well, pretty much a lot of people in my, a few people, you know, in my family with alternative medicine, you know, these different things. And it's interesting because, you know, Ayurveda yoga, sister practices, they're 3,500 years old. And then Western medicine is about 250 years old. So I always wonder what's really alternative. And I think it's beautiful that they come together. You know, particularly I'm a breast cancer survivor. So chemo, I mean, the science, you know, these vaccinations, things are crucial to our well-being and our survival. But there's such an opportunity to be proactive, you know, before these pathogens arise, to keep our body safe and in balance. So take another full breath and that constructive rest, release the elbows, let your arms just kind of come out like wings. And then I'm gonna have you just kind of unglue your knees, hug your knees in again, and come onto your right side. I'm gonna have you come all the way up to seated, and we'll set up for a final posture that will really help us move our energy for final rest today. And I'll demonstrate this posture. Really nice way to open the hips, and it can also release our low back a little bit. But if it doesn't feel good, I want you to come into your traditional Shavasana or any final resting pose. If you have two blocks or a rolled up blanket can be used. You can just start to come down so that the blocks, they're actually going to be below your hip crease, right on the upper part of your thigh. If you have that blanket, it might be a little bit softer. And then I'll have you just stack your hands, and you might just take one cheek down to that top hand and kind of wiggle around a little bit, shimmy around so that you find something that's soft and comfortable. So you can really drop into relaxation. And if it's that blanket or pillows under the thighs, and just take a nice full breath. On your exhale, you can just start to close your eyes if they're still open. There's this great quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson that says, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." Coming into that Prakruti, that constitution and our natural state from birth is such a beautiful place to rest. Be in harmony with. If you came down on one cheek, you might just alternate sides. Unless you've had a root canal. I tried to do that this week after root canal, and I was just on one cheek. Couldn't really move the other side. So the one and only Glennon Doyle, right? Untamed. I think I read this last summer. Just amazing book, but I love this part of Untamed called Sandcastles, and I want to just share a little snippet with you, a little excerpt, I think really relates to today's message. In answering the question, who do I love, is not enough. We must live lives of our own. To live a life of her, and I added his, I have a son, I think it's important. This applies to everyone. To live a life of her, his own, each man and woman must also answer, what do I love? What makes me come alive? What is beauty to me? And when do I take the time to fill up with it? Who is the soul beneath all of these roles? Each man, woman must answer these questions now, before the tide comes. Sandcastles are beautiful, but we cannot live inside them because the tide rises. That's what the tide does. We must remember, I am the builder, not the castle. I am separate and whole. Over here, eyes on the horizon, sun on my shoulders, welcoming the tide, building, rebuilding, playfully, lightly, never changing and always changing. Wherever you are in this moment, begin to come back fully embodied, present, with breath, with air, with space, with fire, water, the earth supporting us. And we'll begin to slowly move from your prone position on your bellies. You might remove the blocks. You might walk your hands under the shoulders and move to child's for a moment. If you came onto your back, you might roll onto a side. But we'll all begin to meet and join in seated Sukhasana. I'm gonna put on the gallery view. I hope I can see you guys. I don't know, let me see. Yeah, I gotta do that. All right, good. I can see everyone. Instagram people. And let's just begin to close our eyes, taking a nice deep cleansing breath in through the nose, taking a healing breath out of the mouth. Beautiful. We'll guide our thumbs to our third eye. This gateway to our thoughts, command center for our physical body, honoring wellness and balance. The spirit within me bows to the spirit within each and every one of you. We'll bow our chin towards our heart together as we say, Namaste. I'm going to close out the Instagram. Bye, everyone that joined today. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for joining Kira Grace.
Thank you so much, Amber.
Yes, thank you guys.
That was awesome. That was
good.
So great.
Hope you guys feel good. If anyone has questions, I'll say, oh, thanks, I'm reading the chat. Please stay on and ask or share anything you might need to discuss. I'm so happy that you guys joined me. It means the world. And thank you to Kira, Grace, and Valerie, of course, for hosting.
Thank you.
And thanks for any donations. And if you didn't, that's okay. But I appreciate you guys very much. Take care.